A very good morning to all of you. We would like to wait just for a few more minutes for others to join. So, a very good morning to all of you. Thank you for participating in this webinar. This webinar is basically concentrated on the topic emotional intelligence, which is a very important soft skill for today. And we both faculty members, me and Ms. Jiveta Chaudhary, will be guiding you through this webinar. So I welcome you once again to this webinar. Before starting with this webinar, I would like you to introduce to NorthCap University, from which we both faculty members are from this university, and this university has been located in the vicinity of Gurugram. So just give me a minute to start this webinar. So the topic of this webinar is emotional intelligence for managing your today and tomorrow. I hope you all are able to see the screen.
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. So this is the lush green campus of NorthCap University. There are few pics we would like you to have a glance on. So this university has gained several awards, several recognitions from various prominent bodies, government bodies. It has several smart classrooms, digital library, world-class infrastructure, and it has been identified as in 2018 and 2019 as the top 5 cleanest non-residential universities in India. So again, there are some few pics which we have identified to show you here. These are the quality benchmarks which our university have gained. It has gold, platinum, and gold prestigious QIS Gauge rating in law and legal studies, platinum for engineering, and gold for management as well. So let's begin with this webinar. So the topic is emotional intelligence for managing your today and tomorrow. So before starting this, I would like you all to just have attention toward these questions, which is very important to discuss over here. So kindly give 2 minutes to concentrate on these questions. You might feel quite relative to your day-to-day life. I am just believing this, that you will be finding these very often, that you have been experiencing such questions in day-to-day life. So that is the reason I am just asking you to pay attention toward these questions. So the questions are like this. What strengths do you think sets you apart in personal or professional settings? Are some of those to do with your emotions? Can you think of a situation where you made a difference in your relationship or decision making? Was it because of EI, that is emotional intelligence? What are some areas of your life you would like to work on? Do these areas have something to do with your emotional reactions? Consider a recent situation where you needed to communicate a difficult message. Did emotional intelligence influence that? Just think about a moment where you successfully motivated yourself or others to achieve a goal. Did your emotions play a role there? In your interactions with others, how do you approach understanding their emotions and perspectives? Could being empathetic help? When receiving feedback or criticism, how do you usually react? Do your emotion or self-awareness impact that? So I'm just hoping that these questions will be there in your life and you are just trying to identify answer to these questions, which you will be getting through this webinar. So the topic that will be covered during this webinar are like this. We will be discussing about emotions, about emotional intelligence, things that emotional intelligence can do for you, things you can do to strengthen your EI, and there will be some question answer round where you will be asking your queries and we will be answering that. And let me tell you that you can drop your message if in between you are having a query, you can drop the message in the chat box and we will be resolving all of them after the end of the webinar. So emotions. According to you, what are the emotions that you have experienced frequently? Before starting this, I would just like you to think over it. Let's say since morning, what are the emotions that you've experienced? You might think of some certain emojis. You all are using emojis on day-to-day basis. So just think of the emojis that you are quite you found quite frequent in your life. So are these those emojis, those reactions, those emotions? Happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, surprise. So sometimes we do feel happy, sometimes there is sadness, sometimes there is fear due to any certain reason. Sometimes you feel like just disgusting thing. Sometimes it happens that while seeing something you feel like disgusting. Anger, surprise. So more often we are not feeling like happy. So what is the reason that these emotions are being controlled, and what is the reason that we are not able to control our emotion in a proper way? So there are certain reasons behind that we will be discussing. So emotions are those reactions that we all human beings are experiencing in response to certain events or certain situations. When these type of emotions a person experience, it is determined by the circumstance that trigger the emotion. Without a certain circumstance or certain situation, you will not feel like having certain emotion. For example, that when you hear a good news, you will be happy, you will be having the feeling of joy. But when there is something threatening in your life, you will be experiencing the emotion of fear. Now you know what is emotion. Now coming to the main topic, that is emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? You might have heard that IQ, right? So IQ is very commonly used, but here we are discussing EQ. EQ and EI are quite same. They are just similar using terms. So here EI is the ability to understand and manage your own emotions. And once you are able to manage your own emotions and you are able to understand your emotions, then recognizing and influencing the emotions of those around you. So these are the two main things which are associated with the concept of EQ, that is emotional intelligence. Now just look at this iceberg. You can see that the tip of the iceberg is very short and it is representing IQ, and the beneath one is representing EQ. But see the difference between these two things which is impacting your life. IQ is very commonly used, very commonly known, and people are more often like, what is your IQ level? But what about the EQ level? IQ is just determining 20 to 25% of your success, and EQ, which is deeply there in the sea, which is not being identified by most of the people, it is determining your 75 to 80% of success. I'm not saying that IQ is only the thing that is important in life, and EQ is the only thing which is important in life, and we have to just concentrate on the EQ part. But the thing is, IQ and EQ, it has to be in balance. If we want to have success in life, if we want to have a balance in our life, then both these components has to be introduced in our life. EQ plus IQ will give you success. So what is this IQ? I just want you to understand both these concepts, because you might not be able to create a differentiation between these two concepts. So when we are talking about IQ, it is all about the logical part, the cognitive ability that a person is having. It is about using the logic to solve the problems, planning and strategizing the things, understanding the ideas, learning and adapting to change, grasping and using the language. All these attributes are referring to the IQ part. When we are talking about EQ, it is, as we have already seen in the slide, it is all about identifying your emotions in yourself and others, empathizing with other people, adapting to their feelings and behavior to different situations that you might be experiencing in your life, controlling your impulses, resolving conflict with others, communicating effectively in your life. So I hope these two concepts are now clear to you, what is EQ and what is IQ. Now, there are 5 components which we will be studying in this emotional intelligence, rather not studying, rather we will be identifying, so that you will be able to properly use this concept in your life. So the first one is self-awareness, self-regulation, internal, or we can say intrinsic motivation. There are two parts of motivation, intrinsic and extrinsic. So here we will be just concentrating on the intrinsic part. Empathy, social skills. Self-awareness. Self-awareness means knowing your own emotions. See, just like that, we usually say that don't identify problem in others. First of all, identify problem in yourself. It is similar to like that only, that you are knowing yourself in the beginning, then only you will be able to help others. So it is all about knowing your emotions at the first stance. So you are recognizing your emotions, that what are the emotions that I'm experiencing, what I used to have on daily basis, or you can say on frequent basis, whether I'm sad, happy, angry, frustrated, or what. So once you are able to recognize these emotions, then only you will be going to the next step, that is the regulation part, right? So when you are able to understand your emotions, that self-awareness you will be able to create, then you will be identifying that I am stressed, I am annoyed, I am happy. But next part is why and how. If there is certain annoyance in my life or I'm frustrated, then how I can manage these things. That is most important. Then comes self-management. As I've said, that once you are knowing your own part, then you will be able to control that part. So the next thing is managing your responses, right? Managing your anger. I am angry. I do become angry multiple times or on frequent basis. But how to control my anger? How to fight the impulses, right? That is all about the self-management. Then comes social skills, that is the relationship management. It is very important. It is very important not only in your professional life, but in your personal life as well. Both the aspects are giving importance to this social skill, because we all are social beings. We all need to develop relationship, whether it is with family, with friends, or colleagues, right? So this particular component of EI is talking about ability to build genuine trust, rapport, and respect from colleagues, right? For example, a leader with outstanding social skills can inspire, guide, and develop their team members, right? The next part is intrinsic motivation. That is the passion for what you do. See, once you want to do something, it should come from inside. We are not talking about extrinsic part, because we are not motivated by the outside component. We should be motivated by the internal part, right? That is stems from inside of us. Desire for personal development, personal improvement, urge to grow or to learn, satisfaction of doing things properly. That is all about the intrinsic part. And as you can say in the extrinsic thing, it is all about getting certain, you can say fringe benefits or something in order to going forward in your life, wish to be recognized, avoid potential reprimands. So these are the extrinsic part which we are not concentrating here, right? The next thing is, which is very, very important, that is empathy, right? You might have seen that in interviews nowadays, what is happening when you are you're confronting the question like, tell me about yourself, or what is your key strength. Most of the people are using the word empathy. Now what is this empathy? We are using the word empathy, but is it similar to sympathy, or there is some difference between these two terms? That is why I have used sympathy as well along with empathy, so that you will be able to identify both these components. See, empathy is about connecting with the people, right? Feeling their pain as your own. And when we are talking about sympathy, it is just like, okay, I understand your pain. But what about feeling those pain that other person is, not just pain, but other emotions that the other person is experiencing, right? So sympathy and empathy are quite, we can say, similar sounding words, but not the same. It is just the narrower term if we talk about sympathy, but when we go inside that word, it came out to be the empathy one, right? So when we are talking about the perspective, sympathy, the perspective in sympathy is understanding from the listener's perspective, and in empathy we are discovering and understanding from the sufferer perspective. Yes, I do understand because I feel your pain, I feel your emotions. That is empathy. So this is the most important soft skill in this contemporary era. So I would like to request Ms. Jiveta Chaudhary to please proceed with the slides. Please.
Thank you, Shikha. Good morning, everyone. Before I start with my part, I think I should thank Shikha because she has so beautifully explained what emotions are, what is emotional intelligence and what are the components of it. And this has made my task very, very simple. So if I take you back to the to the outline of the webinar, we told you that we would discuss with you what are emotions, what emotional intelligence is, and then what can emotional intelligence do for you, plus also what we could do to strengthen our levels of emotional intelligence. How do we improve our emotional intelligence? Because we know that it is the recipe for success today and also in the times to come. So before I start with my part of the webinar, I would first want to read out this quote to you by Daniel Goleman, father of emotional intelligence. So he says, what really matters for success, character, happiness, and lifelong achievements is a definite set of emotional skills, your EQ, not just purely cognitive abilities that are measured by conventional IQ tests. As Shikha rightly pointed out, that our cognitive intelligence is just the tip of the iceberg. And the major chunk which lies beneath the surface of water, that is your emotional intelligence. That is the contribution of your emotional intelligence to generating successful outcomes for you. If we go as per Daniel Goleman, he says that today emotional intelligence and cognitive intelligence are multiplicative of each other. It's not that, if we lack emotional intelligence, still we would have some probability for success. No, we would not. Without emotional intelligence, we are deemed to fail. So, what is it that emotional intelligence does for us? Primarily, it is three things. One, it improves and saves our relationships. Two, it improves our workplace productivity. And then finally, it also affects our disease progression and recovery. Let's just address all these one by one. The first thing, improve and save relationships. Now, these relationships are not just with others, these relationships are also with our own selves. So, my relationship with myself, how forgiving am I for myself? Am I able to motivate myself? Am I able to identify the right path for myself? This all depends on emotional intelligence. So if you're coming from a place of high emotional intelligence, of high intrinsic motivation, of high empathy, you can easily give people a benefit of doubt. You could be more forgiving. So many of us are parents, and sometimes our children can actually get the best of us. So we're going we are at a mall, and the child decides to throw a tantrum, or sometimes it's our spouse or our family members or our friends who would just scream at us, who would be unreasonable in our perception. So now, when we understand that when someone's screaming, the real reason is some underlying hurt or maybe an emotion of anger, we can empathize with that individual, and that helps us improve our relationships with that person. Similarly, with ourselves also, we can improve our relationship. So we can motivate ourselves on our own. We don't have to rely on extrinsic factors. We can rely on intrinsic variables to become a better individual. We can enhance our productivity levels also. So when you understand the true meaning of reactions, when you understand the underlying reasons of people's reactions, you can respond with empathy, with care, with concern. And this is where we are able to heal ourselves and also heal the others around us. And that makes us improve our relationships and also save our relationships. The next thing is improve workplace productivity. Now, if you're high on emotional intelligence, you could make the right kind of decisions. You could communicate well. You could easily share difficult messages. You could give constructive feedback. You could listen well. You would not take any kind of uh, negative feedback personally, rather would try to understand that what is it for you to learn from that. And that all comes from emotional intelligence. Now, intrinsic motivation, which is an important component of emotional intelligence, that makes you more productive. That fuels you with the energy to go and accomplish your goals. You could build effective teams, as I told you. You could empathize with your colleagues, with your subordinates. You're more competent. The final part is it affects disease progression and recovery in patients. When we think of emotional intelligence, we think of mental health. No, emotional intelligence has a direct bearing on your physical health also. And now research has proven it that if we work on our emotional intelligence, we could actually help our diseases. And it is also proven that it is the psychological level problems that manifest into physiological disorders. So if we could maybe meditate well, if we could give, cut ourselves some slack, we could see ourselves progressing as more healthy individuals. So, overall, if we look at that, emotional intelligence enhances our quality of life, it enhances our well being. More than that, I think it makes us able to lead a happy, fulfilling life. Now, when we know that emotional intelligence is extremely important for our professional success and for our personal well being also, can we really do something to enhance our level of emotional intelligence? The answer, fortunately, is yes. Now, before we move on to that, there is one more quote that I would like to share with you. Now, this comes from a thought leader in the field of leadership, Sir Warren Bennis. He says that emotional intelligence, more than any other factor, more than IQ or expertise, accounts for 85 to 90% of success at work. I would like to add on here, it is not just work, it is your personal life also. IQ is a threshold competence. You need it, but it doesn't make you a star. Emotional intelligence can. So let's just quickly start with the strategies. Now, Shikha discussed with you that there are 5 components to emotional intelligence. So we'll be addressing all these 5 components one by one. And for each component, what we could do to strengthen those strategies will be shared with you. So the first component was self-awareness. Now, what you see on your slides is a little matrix. We have external awareness on the x-axis. On the y-axis, we have internal self-awareness. Now, both these could be low and high levels. What our aim is that is to reach this box, the red box, aware, where we have a high external self-awareness and also high internal self-awareness. Internal self-awareness is rooted into self-reflection, self-introspection. When we sit with ourselves in silence, when we spend a little time, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or half an hour each day, or maybe after the end of a week, we just sit to introspect how the week went, what things were done right, what things could improve. So we are talking to ourselves. That is how you would build high internal self-awareness. High external self-awareness would be built when you seek feedback from others. Now, when you see this, people who have a low internal self awareness but high external self awareness, they become pleasers. They're only focused on how they're perceived. So you are more concerned about, what would other people think of me. So you're always monitoring yourself. You are always in a guarded position that, oh my God, no, 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 people cannot think bad of me or people cannot think low of me without being aware of what your actual needs are. So you turn into a pleaser. The other side, if you have low external self-awareness, I'm talking about seekers here, and low internal self-awareness, you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do with yourself. You don't know how to behave in social situations. The yellow box, which is introspective, where you have a low external self awareness but high internal self awareness. So you have spent a good deal of time with yourself, through introspection, through critical reflection, but you're not aware of your environment. Now, the thing is, we are a function of our environment and we have to exist in our environment without being aware of what my organizational requirements are or what other people expect of me or what makes them feel good about themselves, what makes me contribute to them, to their lives, or what are my behaviors that upset them. If I don't know this, I could not foster valuable relationships. Hence, high external self awareness is needed along with high internal self awareness. So, what are the strategies? The first strategy is you use the emotions wheel. Now, this is one of the versions that is available on the internet. If you'll do a simple search on the internet, you'll find many more versions. And if you have kids at home, you'll see that there are versions available even for 9-year, 10-year-old kids. So you could help them. Just take a colored printout and put it on the wall, put it in a room where you spend most time of your day, and just look at it. Sit with yourself and see that. Let's say I'll just zoom it Zoom in for that. Let's say one day you are feeling rushed, right? Why are you feeling rushed? It might be because of you've been keeping too busy lately. And the emotion that you're feeling is actually bad. Sometimes, I'm moving to the yellow part, we feel insignificant at our workplaces. We feel that we don't have any value. There's no meaning. We are excluded. Why is it that you're feeling that? We are feeling that. We are feeling excluded because we feel rejected by our team, by our boss, who do not value our inputs. And that rejection is rooted into our fear. So if someone wants to come to me, let's say my subordinate was to come to me and he would tell me that, ma'am, I feel excluded. If I were coming from a place of low emotional intelligence, I would say, what rubbish? Why are we even talking about that? How do you even have the time for it? Go focus on your work. But if I knew that this feeling of exclusion is rooted into fear, it is rooted into insecurity, I would be able to help him. Right? So when you use the emotions wheel, you can not only have awareness for yourself, understand your true emotions, but also you could implement this to your knowledge of others. The second strategy is self-reflection. How could you reflect on? There are ample number of templates available. If you don't want to use those templates, you could have a customized template for yourself. You could sit with a mentor to develop a template for yourself. So what we need to do is we need to understand ourselves. We need to maybe, we make friends with ourselves, know more about us. So these are four quadrants if you see on the screen. One, what are my skills and behaviors? Two, what is my comfort with the unknown? What is that level? Am I okay operating in ambiguity? Am I okay exploring the unknown, or is it that it gives me fear? Is it that it gives me anxiety? Do I avoid that? So you write that down. Third thing, what are my life experiences? Now, here we have a lot of experiences each day. What are the most significant experiences? Experiences of success, experiences where I felt good, experiences of failures where I felt really bad, or where I felt that my life is miserable, or I myself am miserable. Then finally, my attitudes and beliefs. When you write down your attitudes and beliefs, you also pen down your biases. So some people are driven by a recent behavior bias. Some people are driven by a bias that uh, you know comes out of discrimination. So what are your attitudes in life? What are your beliefs? You jot down those also, and then you start categorizing. Are these helping me? Are these acting as obstacles? Once you have categorized these into two buckets, obstacles and helping variables or driving variables, then you could go ahead thinking of strategies. Now, you don't necessarily need to do it alone. You could sit with a close friend. You could sit with a well-wisher. You could sit with someone who knows you in and out, or you could have your own group. You could sit with your mentor. So self-awareness aided by some external support or some external data. There is one more way that you could do self-reflection. So this is just one of the templates. So maybe you could use it on a weekly basis. You could use it on a daily basis also, but sometimes doing it on a daily basis uh, becomes very heavy to do. And then because it is too monotonous, we leave it. Or you could do it, as and when you feel that, okay, I'm going to sit, I'm going to think. So if you look at this, we have bad habits I need to stop, things I regretted not doing, things I have learned this year, and how can I be a better version of me? And spend some time on this. Don't rush through the process. The more you would think about it, when you find a quiet corner, sit there, the more you think about it, the more points you jot. And here, the key is to be honest. There are things about my personality that I do not like or I'm not proud of. Let's say a parent hitting their child. So the parent would not be proud of it, but you've done that. Just jot that down. Be honest. Do it with a lot of courage. Just write that. Or maybe I was mean to the lift man. I was mean to my parking guy or to the security guy. Or I was mean when I was placing the order, when I placed the order at a restaurant and the order was not as per my liking. Or I was mean to my spouse. I judged someone today. Just mention those things also because those will be your starting points. So these are the things that I'm actively seeking to change about myself, just do it. I wasted my time. I promised myself that it'll be 4 hours of study, but I ended up watching Netflix. Jot that down. Jot that down. And then forgive yourself, give yourself another chance, and then see what can I do to improve. That is a part of self-reflection. Self-reflection must not lead to blaming, must not lead to self-loathing. So one thing is that this is a strategy that I use for myself. I tell myself, Jiveta, how would your parents think of this? Would they judge you? Would they forgive you? Would they lend you support? Would they give you another chance? The answer is but obvious, that my parents would give me another chance and help me. And they would say that, fine, we are humans, we make mistakes, let's go on. So this self-reflection has to link to positive behaviors. Now, there is one more strategy to build self-awareness, because self-awareness, one component is external self-awareness. You could use the Johari window model. Um, if you look at this model, there are two dimensions. One, knowledge about self, known to self or not known to self. The other side we have not known to others and known to others. Now this box, which is the open area, this box is known to self and known to others. Now these are all the things that I know about myself and others also know about. So I'm an extrovert, people know it, I know it, we accept it. Next is the blind area, not known to self, but known to others. So I am not aware that I'm ultra sensitive, but there are other people in my team who know that, okay, this girl is a very sensitive person. And I don't see myself as a sensitive person. The thing is that I have to shrink this blind area. How would I do it? Seek feedback from people. Next is the hidden area, known to self, but not known to others. Now, I'm a very creative individual and I love doing creative things. My team doesn't know of that. They see me as an organized person who would like data sheets. But no, deep down, I'm a very creative, imaginative girl, and I would want to draw maybe, or I would want to propose new things. Now, this hidden area also needs to be shrunk. How would you do it? Simple. Be more open. Let people know about yourself. The fourth quadrant, which is the most tricky of all, that is the unknown area. You're not known to self, not known to others. These are so many qualities about you that you have no idea of. The others also have no. How do we shrink this? This will be done by joint discovery or by sitting with professionals who help you understand your personality layer by layer. I remember when I was in school, and when I had started college, I had started my bachelor's. In icebreakers, one of the favorite questions of my teachers was, okay, compare yourself to an animal or compare yourself to a vegetable, and what would it be and what would be the reason? So we had a lot of people who said that, I think my personality is similar to that of an onion. Just like the onion has many layers, I also have a lot of layers. And that is true. We have a lot of layers to our personality. Right? Those layers are to be discovered with joint discovery. Sometimes sitting with someone who has more knowledge of personality, of behaviors, of human psychology, they could help us just learn more about us. So this is how you could use this as a template. You could sit with a group of friends or you could sit with your parent. The best thing is you sit with different people and take their perspectives, and that is how we'll be able to see that how different people perceive us. So maybe at my workplace I'm seen as a person who's very ambitious. Maybe at my home I'm seen as a person who's very lazy. You don't know, and it is an amazing and very fulfilling, very enriching experience to know about yourself from the other people's lens. And it is a fun exercise, and then longer term, if you see, it helps you build your emotional awareness. The next component of emotional awareness is self-regulation. How do we do that? The first strategy is pause and mute. You have a trigger, you don't like certain things a certain way, so those things act as triggers. The moment you know that this is my trigger, now knowledge of this trigger would come from self-awareness. Now you know that this is a trigger, this behavior is a trigger, this policy is a trigger, this decision is a trigger. Just pause. Do not react. Be silent. Give yourself time. Now, this pause could be a few seconds, this pause could be one day also. Sometimes we get stinkers, such bad emails. The immediate reaction is, I'm writing a response. Don't do it. Pause. Just pause. The moment would pass and you'll see that it wasn't a big thing. So pause and mute. Deliberately pause and mute. If you cannot remember it, wherever you sit, just take a print and on that print mention pause, mute. Put that and keep seeing that so that it is reinforced for you. Second strategy is self reflect and reinforce. Similar for self awareness. Reflect more. Now, what you see, there's a little template also, daily future self journal. My daily affirmation today, I will focus on shifting my pattern of I'm grateful for three traits that my future self will have are the person I'm becoming will experience more. I have an opportunity to be my future self today when I think about who I am becoming, I feel. So when you sit with this, spend half an hour on this, you'll see that what your today's self wants to see you as in future. Let that not create pressure on you, but this will give you a way forward. So self-reflect, reinforce. Strategy 3, meditate, breathe, practice deep breathing. Exercise. When you're feeling angry, exercise. When you feel you're just fueled up, go for a walk. When you feel that there are so many thoughts together on your mind and those are leading to a reaction, go for a walk, sit in an open space, absorb some sunlight, see some green, engage in a hobby. Do not go for Netflix or Amazon Prime or Voot or Hotstar. Do not go zombie scrolling over Instagram. Do not go, seeing people's status on WhatsApp. Don't do it. That is just that is not going to help you. Just won't help you. But if you'll engage in a hobby, then yes, obviously that will be of great help. And strategy 4 is reward yourself. Celebrate your accomplishments. That is an excellent way to enhance your intrinsic motivation and also self regulate. Why? Because every time you're doing something good, you're giving yourself a reward, and that takes a message to your mind that, wow, I'm a worthy person. And that helps you, reinforce that act. Let's say I am a very short tempered individual. Today, I did not lose my temper. So I reward myself for that. Or I take a little jar and on a colored sheet, I write that Jiveta, good job done. You did not lose your cool. Dated this, incident this, and I put that in that jar. And at the end of the month, or maybe at the end of the year, when I see that, wow, these were my accomplishments. This is how I was regulating, managing myself. This is how I was managing my emotions. That fuels with me with more energy to keep doing that in future. Third is intrinsic motivation. How do I intrinsically motivate myself? First is set your goals right. So one thing is you set SMART goals, specific, measurable, actionable, re- realistic, and time bound. Your goals are to be meaningful. Your goal is not to be driven by external forces. It has to be meaningful to you. It has to come from within that this is what I really want to do. Now, there is a lot of talk these days that find your life's purpose. No, please don't go ahead finding your life's purpose. You are living your purpose every day. Now, a part of that purpose is your daily goals that you would be accomplishing for yourself. Now, this goal has to have meaning to you. So you start eating healthy because you want to lose weight because the others would like you in a leaner body. No, that is not a meaningful goal. You start eating healthy, you start eating exercising because it gives you that feeling of happiness that fuels you with the energy to pursue your goals. That is what makes it meaningful. And also give yourselves challenging goals. When we do not have challenging goals, when we have much simple low level goals, we have no motivation to go and chase those goals. So give yourself a little challenging goal. Once you've accomplished that, give yourself a higher level challenge, just like playing a game on your mobile phones. Every successive level is more challenging than the every preceding level. So that's what you need to do with your goals also. Keep giving yourself more number of challenges. Next is celebrate your achievements. If you're not doing it, you're not rewarding yourself enough. And we have got to reward ourselves. That will enhance our motivation level. And And there are so many ways you could celebrate your achievements. Just find your ways, find the ways that are most rewarding to you. Third is you build your circle intelligently. So we have to surround ourselves with people who believe in us, who have faith in our abilities, who give us the right kind of feedback, who are our well wishers. If we surround ourselves with people who are energy vampires or who are drainers, or who constantly believe in criticizing other people, imagine that'll deplete us of our life force only. So do not do it. Build your circle very, very intelligently, because that circle would give you the necessary or the needed energy that you would require to accomplish your behaviors and then celebrate yourself and your accomplishments later on. So that is one thing. The next part is the fourth part is empathy of emotional intelligence. How could I do that? Strategy one is you engage in random acts of kindness. Be more compassionate. That's how you'll build your empathy. You put yourself in the other person's shoes, that had I experienced this event, or had I experienced this ordeal, how would have I felt about that? In our workplaces, we have to take tough decisions. Go back to the pandemic when companies had to let go of employees in sizable numbers. It wasn't easy for the leaders to announce this. Some organizations would just do it. One of the I would not name the leader, but one of the leaders, very, 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 very successful as a businessman, he took over a new organization, and he just fired people like that. And it wasn't taken uh, very, very nicely by others. There was a lot of backlash, and it hurt the sentiments of not just the employees of the organization, it also hurt the sentiments of others, around the globe. So you need to be more empathetic. You need to put yourself into the shoes of the other people. You need to believe in the goodness of life and goodness of other people, and stop judging. Withhold your judgments, give people a benefit of doubt. And I think one easy way is that just know that everyone has a story. Everyone has had challenges, and whatever reactions you see us engaging today in, those reactions are rooted not just into our recent experience, but also sometimes into our childhood. And people who take the route of spirituality, they say that our reactions are rooted into our previous lives also. So when you have that kind of a broader perspective, you will be more forgiving, you'll be more accepting, and you'll be more open to understand the other people's perspective. So just practice empathy. There is no strategy to build empathy. There is only one way, that you be more kind, you be more compassionate, you be more mindful. And that's how you would be able to enhance your levels of empathy. And final component of emotional intelligence is social skills. How do we improve that? Strategy one is listen, respond, listen. If you see listen is mentioned twice. The reason is simple. The more you listen, the more opportunities you would have to grow. The more opportunities you would have to build on your social skills. Also, observational learning, which is strategy four here. Observe others behaving in different manners. Learn from your social circle. So here also, again, your social circle is to be built very, very intelligently. People who inspire you, people who put you on the right path. Strategy two is have a mentor, someone who inspires you, have them as your mentor, sit with them, learn from them. If they have certain things to share, and if you think that this thing is really meaningful or this could help you in your life, just note that down, put it on the wall, see it every day. Put that as a wallpaper on your mobile phone. It'll help you. Put that as a wallpaper on your desktop. Strategy three is value people. The more you value people, the more appreciative you would be of them. You would be able to celebrate their victories. You would be able to overlook their deficiencies and keep learning from them. So, value people. I would like to come back to this strategy to have a mentor. So I have a mentor for myself, and this person, once he told me, Jiveta, count your blessings. And that time, yeah, it is a good thing to do. I would count my blessings. But each time that I have thought that, oh my God, life is not functioning my way, I have a list of blessings. I have a list that I'm thankful for. So when I read that list, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so blessed. Right. So just one or two quotes that could help you. There are certain songs that could help you build your emotional intelligence, make you more resilient, right? Help you persevere. So just have your emotional intelligence toolkit with you, whatever strategy suits you most. Have that strategy for yourself and implement that. You don't need a list of 10, 20, 30 techniques. No, it could be a chosen three techniques, maybe a chosen two strategies only, but implement those strategies and that'll help you build on your emotional intelligence. And this is where my part ends. And I would like to end it with another quote from the father of emotional intelligence, Daniel Goleman. He says that CEOs are hired for their intellect and business expertise and fired for a lack of emotional intelligence. So you know what emotional intelligence is, you know how important it is. And now that we've discussed the basics, we've discussed the methods, this is an open forum where you could post your questions and we would be happy to answer. Thank you. And I would request Professor Shikha to come in because I would need her help answering your questions. Shikha, ma'am, you here?
Thank you so much, Jiveta ma'am. That was a very nice session, very enriching one. And I think all of us will be implementing these strategies in our life. Especially, I like that one that I have to write that pamphlet that you have shared. And I will be practicing that too in my life. And I will definitely count my blessings too. So now both of us are open for taking the queries, and you can drop your query in the chat box, or you can just say it, and we just hope that we will be able to resolve those queries. So please share those queries with us so that we will be happy to know that how many questions are there and how we can help you out. Or you can share your experience as well of today's session.
Yes, we would value your feedback tremendously.
I think, Jivita ma'am, all of them have understood the concept of emotional intelligence so well that there is no question
No,
from
no,
their
I
side.
see someone typing.
Acha, okay.
There are three dancing dots on the screen. I'm just waiting for it to pop. So, being teachers, we want to answer questions.
Oh,
We
we
don't
got an
feel we have added value till the time we are not able to, till the time our students or our listeners do not ask questions. So, I'm just hoping that there is,
we got a
we get one
message
or two
that it was
questions.
an amazing session from Mr. Rahul. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahul.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, so there is a question from Rahul. What role does EQ play in managing anxiety and overcoming regrets? It plays a major role. It plays a major role. Now, if you look at anxiety, where is your anxiety rooted? Till the time you don't have an answer to that question, you would not be able to help your anxiety. Is your anxiety stemming out of some fear of the unknown? Is your anxiety stemming out of, let's say, you had a lot on your plate and nothing was managed because of the quantum of jobs you had to, or quantum of tasks you had to perform? What is it? What is the true reason of anxiety? Or is it that an event is a trigger and it drops you back to an experience a bad experience you had, and that is the root of your anxiety. What is it? What is the reason that I'm feeling anxious? Once you're aware of that reason, we could go step by step addressing that reason. And honestly, quite honestly, if I'm anxious one day, I am one person who knows the actual reason. But yes, my mentor, or maybe a close friend, or maybe a wise person could help me walk that path, ask me the right kind of questions, and take me to the real reason of anxiety. So, emotional intelligence, as I told you, it starts with self awareness only. Hence, that will help you manage your anxiety and overcoming regrets. As I told you, that we are not perfect. We are humans. We are bound to make mistakes, and we are bound to learn from our mistakes. So if you're regretting something, of course, in our perspective, we haven't done something right. Start with forgiveness. Be a nurturing parent to yourself. Forgive yourself and help yourself do something that, see, the experience or the act would not change, but you could always become a better person. And that also will start with self awareness only. So, emotional intelligence would really help you. Emotional intelligence would help you experience positive emotions and would help you reduce the impact of negative emotions on you. So, if I am experiencing immense guilt today, with emotional intelligence, I could decrease the impact of that guilt on me. I could address that feeling. I could fuel myself. So, let's say, okay, we have a bucket, and in that bucket, we have positive emotions and negative emotions. Now, and this bucket is like, from one side, we have one tap filling it with positive emotions, which is clear crystal water. And on the other side, we have a tap which is filling our bucket with dirty, black, muddy water. Now, what is the way to have a clear bucket? Simple. You decrease the outlet, you decrease the inlet of the bad emotions tap, and you increase the flow of the good emotions tap. So the more you fill yourself with positive emotions, what will happen is the water would start overflowing. The water would go out. But why is the water overflowing your tank? Because you are filling it with clear crystal water of positive emotions. And this is done with the help of emotional intelligence only. There is one more question, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yes.
how does self-awareness play a role in emotional intelligence? Um, I think charity begins at home. We all know. So
True.
everything will start with your own self. The more aware you are of yourself, the better you would be able to manage your emotions and also relate with your environment.
Yes, since because we are working with the emotions, so Agastya, what you have to do, you have to start thinking about what emotions you're experiencing on daily basis. It might be the anger that you are facing with, or it might be the happiness, be it the positive one or the negative one. What is the cause for that? So it is very important to understand your own emotions before starting working on that. That is much more important. That is why this component come as the first one, what we have discussed earlier, that self awareness before starting with self regulation, that is much more important. I hope you got your answer. Any more queries?
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, with everyone's permission, should we end today's session? If you could just get a hands up, we would, not hands up, thumbs up from your side. We would
Yes.
conclude the session, please. Seems like a yes. So in future also, the NotCap University will be hosting a lot of webinars, and we would be happy to have you attend those webinars. We are trying, uh, we always try, and we keep trying that we add value to the community that we are a part of by holding amazing sessions for our attendants. So in any way, if you would want to get in touch with us, the email addresses have been put on the chat window. My email address is jiveta@ncuindia.edu. Shikha ma'am's email address is shikhayadav@ncuindia.edu. We would be happy to connect with you anytime. If you do write to us, please allow us 24 hours to 48 hours to respond to you. And as and when we would have more webinars conducted, those would be put on our LinkedIn profile. Those would also be shared with your registered email addresses. So hope to see you in future again.
Thank you so much for participating.
Thank you.
Thank you.